Hey everybody, wake up. This is Wake Up with Mark Joyner, episode number 63. And today we shall discuss the rigidity versus flexibility conundrum. Alright, so yesterday I talked about the price of your non-negotiables. And I got some feedback on that from somebody saying, hey, aren't you the guy who also, in your book, Simpleology, wrote about this concept of utilitarian model flexibility? Does it not seem ironic that a man who places so much emphasis on flexibility would advise such extreme rigidity in certain parts of their life? It is a totally fair and valid question. It is a totally fair and valid point. But like all conundrums, like all dichotomies, like all dilemmas, it is a false one, so far as I know. I don't know of any true dichotomies. If you really, really dig into it and you look down underneath all of it. Rather than take either horn of the dilemma, as the great Robert Pirsig talked about in Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, the answer is to hit the bull in the head, not to accept either of the horns. There are times for rigidity. There are times for flexibility. There are certain things in my life about which I am non-negotiable. My habits, non-negotiable things, my standards, my values. There are certain things I will not accept. Why? Because I know if I accept those things, there is a price that I have to pay for that as well. While there is a price you must pay for your non-negotiables, there is a price you pay for being negotiable on the stuff that is very, very important to you. So how does flexibility fit into all of this? Well, think of it like this. Imagine that you have a larger objective that you are wanting to achieve, and maybe things don't work out exactly the way you planned, right? Maybe in your path of pushing toward it, you discover that there is a different way to do it. Or maybe you find a better objective. Now you got to be careful about that. Sometimes finding those better objectives is yet another manifestation of shiny object syndrome. You keep going from better objective to better objective, but you achieve none of them. If that's happening, you might want to re-examine that. There are times when it is appropriate to pivot, but you need to do that consciously and deliberately. Generally, what I tend to do is I tend to keep my sights on the one thing that I am moving toward. And I move the forces that are in constant flux around me such that I can align them toward what I am moving toward. Yesterday, I had a very, very profound and important conversation with a couple of my business partners where we were, I sensed in my gut, slightly misaligned. And I feel now, after having that frank and open discussion with them, we have aligned things in a way that is going to allow all of us to achieve our objectives in a much, much faster and much more pleasurable and much more powerful way than any of us had considered previously. We started out with this one notion in mind, and then we asked ourselves, well, why are we doing that? What is the reason underneath the objective that you have right now? Because that's the real thing. Often the objective on the surface is just a manifestation of something that you want underneath that. Getting to that thing that you want underneath that is the real thing. And once you scratch and you dig and you discover that, it's extremely empowering. Now that is the thing that I would be non-negotiable about. That thing that you truly, truly desire. Right? But I will be flexible in my means of attaining it. And I am very fortunate that I am surrounded by people who can share that sensibility, because most of us are not like that. We get attached to a particular outcome and we think that that's the thing. There's a saying that a lot of people in the self-help world talk about. I don't know who originated this. I wish I could give credit to the original founder of it. I have heard many people echo this sentiment, but it is keep the main thing the main thing. The problem is you probably don't know what the main thing is yet. You're moving towards something because someone else planted an idea in your head that that was what you wanted. Was it indeed what you wanted? Was it something that they convinced you wanted? Was it something you brainwashed yourself that you wanted? When you were lying to yourself about something underneath that represented a deeper desire? That is the real work. And when you can scratch and dig and claw and get underneath that, and you find what that thing is, and you discover who you really want to be, what your values really are, then you got something. Then you have an extremely powerful stance from which you can fight this constantly evolving battle of life. But then there are times when you need to be flexible, which is most of the time. But if you have this balance between rigidity and flexibility, you are more in tune with the way I believe the universe is designed. I believe that the Taoists have it right to a certain extent. The Hindus have it right to a certain extent. Almost all of the religions talk about this to a certain extent. The Taoists talk about the duality between the yin and the yang and the constant flux between these two things. The Hindus talk about the relationship between the three spirits of Shiva, Shakti, and Vishnu. Shiva being the protector. Shiva is the creator, sorry. Shakti is the protector. Vishnu is the destroyer, right? And there is a constant relationship between those three dynamic forces. Notice that. This is a constant theme that recurs throughout spiritual practices and religions throughout the world, throughout history. Maybe there is something to that. And it's embracing that and understanding that life is an interplay of dynamic forces where you can really get into the real power. Will Smith, funny that I'm bringing up a popular culture reference, that is a very wise man. He says that he has figured out a way of uncovering the rhythm of life. The rhythm of life. Notice that. Notice that he is also a man who seems to be quite rigid about certain things and flexible about others. He's very rigid about his standards. I have heard him say, if you and I get on a treadmill, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to quit or I'm going to die. He says he has this ridiculous work ethic. That is a non-negotiable thing for him. But I bet that as he is navigating his way through life, he is flexibly interplaying with the dynamic forces that manifest in front of him. When you see that and you recognize it, you can start to dance with it. If you fight against it, if you fight against all of those forces rigidly, if you're trying to be happy all the time, I think you're going to be in for a lot of misery. But if you understand that there are reasons why that sadness is there are reasons why that tragedy is there, and there are ways that you can transmute those negative forces that come up around you, that you can transmute those obstacles that manifest in front of you while you are moving toward the thing about which you are non-negotiable, then you become an extremely powerful person. All right, folks, that is it for today. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Perhaps I'm appearing live in the Suntac Center in Singapore. If you guys do not have your tickets, you can probably find some information about that on my Facebook wall, facebook.com/Mark Joyner Personal. I will write a comment underneath this Facebook post. This is on YouTube. It's on Periscope. It's all over the place. Go to my Facebook page. I will type in a comment of a man you can contact to get tickets. This is probably the last time I'm going to do this. I don't know. I'm open. I'm flexible. But it is very unlikely I will do this again. So if you want to see me do this 1-day data dump of the most high me information I know about business that I have amassed over the last 28 years, now is your chance. If you're not in Singapore, it might be too late. Maybe you can catch a flight. I don't know if you're in Singapore. Hopefully I will see you there, because what we've just spoken about this morning is but the surface of what we will get into tomorrow. All right, folks. Y'all have a beautiful day.